Well, it's Garth Riley here with Doug Anderson, and with a new crop of we call them new crop, eh? We should call them crops.
Whatever you like.
So, new candidates. They want
Right.
to sort of let their viewpoints be shared, and really, it's not turned into much of debates here. It's really been more about sharing ideas and points of view, Doug. And your website, Durham Election 2010, really talks about option thinking, and that's what it's been all about for you.
Yeah, right.
What do you?
Oh yeah, I got my own mic now,
your
don't
own
I?
mic
I got
now.
my own mic.
You don't have to use
Yeah,
my
right.
microphone anymore. Welcome. We actually paid a few more bucks. We got your mic.
Good. Yeah, no, it's been a very sad, and the purpose of the website right from the outset was to get politicians to think before the election rather than afterwards, and I'm sure that a lot of it was. I'm sure it was an educational experience for a good number of them, because I'm sure a lot of them had never thought of most of those things as being environmental issues, or even thought about them being connected in any way. I think the unfortunate reality of local politics is that politicians react to things once they're there, rather than think ahead, and they're not proactive. But hopefully it'll change.
Well, joining us in the studio right now, James Blair running in Pickering, and Steve Simic running out in Curtis, and both running locally. So you're doing the local thing. That's probably the most fundamental, next to being a school trustee. Next up is running as a local councillor. Neither one of these gentlemen have been in a seat before. Teaching background. Correct. And broadcast background, as well as and also into management projects. So let's have at it, Doug. Let's ask these guys some questions, and let's hear what their points of view are.
Well, where we start all these sections is basically just sort of get a rundown of why you're running, what you think you bring to you'll bring to council that other candidates wouldn't, and why you think you'd be better at it. Steve?
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, you mentioned Curtis. I'm running in Ward 3 Clarington. Just so there's no confusion, because that's actually Curtis is in Ward 2, so I just don't want to confuse.
See, I didn't even know that.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Why am I running? On a personal note, I've always enjoyed politics. I've always watched politics ever since I was a teenager. I've always been very community-minded. While a lot of people were watching hockey and stuff like that, I was actually intrigued with what was going on in politics. So that's on a personal note. Why am I running in Clarington? As a resident, I've watched council, and there are things that have frustrated me, and I'm hoping to get in there and change some of those things. Clarington is a fantastic community to live, but I think Clarington has a lot of opportunities that are being missed, that needed to be acted on more quickly than they are planned to be acted on right now. And I think they need somebody, a full council, but what I think I can offer is what I call vision and common sense.
James?
Some similar issues that I see as well. Once again, I'm not from Pickering initially. I've been down here approximately 10 years. Lived here for 4, to clarify that, coming on to 4 years, but I've taught in the community for 10. And I notice a lot of things within this community that are somewhat lacking, and I think they're there, but they just need to be brought to life. I notice within the communities they're falling apart. No one really knows what's going on. People don't know their neighbors across the street. This is great for politicians that do not want information getting out to people, because everything's fine. 28%, I believe, was the amount that turned out for last election in 2006. That's unacceptable. As a high school teacher and as a person, again, involved in politics from the youth, we need to get people activated, and I hate using a term that someone said it's a buzzword, but we need to make it personal. And this, unfortunately, a lot of people are so afraid of the process, so unaware of the process, they don't want to step in because they don't want to be seen as naive and or not knowing how the process works. And there's a lot of individuals that want to keep people that way. So literally, things can continue the same way, and I hope that needs to change, and I can be a candidate to make that change.
Yeah, it's a question I haven't asked before, but I mean, one of the challenges of running in a municipality is the huge number of candidates that are out there, and the lack of differentiation between them. I'm waving this around. Waving this again, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean that's a real challenge, and I mean one of the things that I'm very conscious of, and one of the reasons, one of the things that of the website is to try and provide that differentiation. Particularly incumbents seem to be very reluctant to go on the record. We haven't had any on this show yet. Hopefully we will in the future. But so, you know, what are your challenges in terms of getting your message out there, and how are you working to get that message out there?
Oh wow, yeah, you know, you know, the reality is, I think in Clarington, 25% or slightly less voted in the last municipal election, and that's the biggest challenge. I know that when I'm going door to door, 1 in every 4 houses will vote, and you know, you can almost get a sense right away of who's interested and who's not. You know, when they grab it and run, you know, okay, maybe I caught them at a busy time, or more likely, you know, they're just not politically minded or interested. The biggest challenge, I guess, has to be a change in attitude. You know, people are very cynical about politicians, and they blame the politicians for it. I think it's very noble to run for these positions. I think people have to realize when you run for these positions, it's a personal investment. I think a lot of people, you know, think you do it for ego and everything like that. But to run a campaign, it costs money. It's our money. You have to spend it. If you lose, you've lost it. If you've won, well, I suppose you've gained somehow, right? But I think there has to be somehow a new attitude that government is good. It's there for a reason. Government provides services. They do good things for people. Yeah, it's easy to slam government, but you know, I think there just has to be an appreciation that government's okay. There are things we can do to change it, absolutely.
For sure.
But a lot of the blame gets put on politicians, and I don't want to offend anybody, but you know, there has to be a wholesale attitude on everybody's behalf to say, okay, you know what, government is a good thing if managed properly. And that's the biggest challenge is getting the word out to people who don't care and will never care. To the 25% you knock on the doors, you know what, you have a great conversation.
Do you see any sign that there's more interest this election than in the past? I mean, you didn't run in the last time, but
yeah.
Do you think there is more interest?
Or are you still getting 1 in 4?
You know, it's tough because when you go door knocking, it could be during the day, it could be at night. It's hit and miss. I'm encouraged by some of the conversations we're having. Part of it is in engaging people in what they might be interested in. And a lot of it, I think, too, as a candidate, is hitting the issues that people find important. And, you know, for example, one of the things I'm pushing in Clarington is our waterfront, because we've never really done anything with it. There are plans on the books and secondary plans and everything, but it's not a huge issue. Clarington has the largest waterfront of all the communities in Durham region, and yet we have no development there. It's on the books, but nothing's happening.
Be encouraged at what Ajax did.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, you mention that to people, and I guess they've gotten so used to the idea, they go, wow, you know, that makes sense. Like, we have nowhere to swim. You know, sure you can swim because we got the beautiful bluffs there and everything, but all of a sudden,
it's like Ontario.
It clicks. So in my mind, that's an issue they're interested in.
So
that's engaging them.
Right. So the point is trying to get people to, you know, get the incumbent is known, you're unknown, you're trying to get your message out there. It's a real tough thing to do. James, I don't want to cut you short, so maybe what we'll do is throw off the break and we'll come back and get your take on that, unless you have like a 2-minute.
I got a you know what, I hope and I agree that most people that are running, and I truly hope in my heart that the people are running because they have something to offer the community, and they're not running because they've been placed there or they've been supported by said individuals to have a safe viewpoint on council if they get elected. I want to see more people get out, and I think with the more people participating, I challenge more people to come out, because I think that will engage more people just by the sheer numbers and get people more interested in the political process. And I think by pulling more people into the process, it will increase the voter number, and I think we need to go in a direction of that.
Are you finding the sentiment when you're out there knocking that there's a bit of an ire out there that people are
unquestionably, and it was previously mentioned here, 1 in 4 houses, but the key is knowing your voter and knowing what issues will affect them. And you can break your ward down into 3 or 4 different geographical areas per geographical issue. And at that, you could say an issue that's up top, but if you hit one that's in their neighborhood, they're with you. So that makes some people realize that you know and are aware of what is important to them.
We're going to head off to break, and we'll be coming back with more of these 2 candidates that are not running the same area, but they're running for similar reasons. Stay with us. We'll be right back.